Hello, everybody, and welcome to Choice, Change, and Action podcast. So, you're with me, your host, Simone Milasas, and I am at Elugar at the moment. And I've been here, I think, 3 weeks. It has such a sense of, I don't know, time gets very warped. And you know what? I think this is more about living, to tell you the truth. I live next Saturday. So I think by the time this podcast goes live, I will be in Australia again. And I have gained so much awareness from being here and so much awareness about myself, my body, and so many things. I will say I am very, very grateful for my horse, Pluma. I'm actually grateful for all the horses. I've ridden a couple of horses, but mainly I've been riding Pluma. And um, I know where I've got to with her is incredible, and with my body, and with my horse, it's like the whole trust, etc., and having so much fun. I am going to put a shout out to Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider classes. They are absolutely phenomenal. I've been riding for a while, but I had a huge accident years ago. I went, screaming across this paddock and on a horse called Rihio, which I think means rapid or something like that, fast. And we went screaming across this paddock, and I couldn't stop the horse, right? Now, I couldn't stop the horse because I wasn't really willing to take leadership with the horse either, because there's definitely ways you can stop a horse if it's going at a dead run. I know that now. Anyway, I got thrown into this big bunch of rocks in this paddock, and I still have my left butt cheek is still a little numb. I lost the nerve endings in my left butt cheek. And ever since then, I sort of had this hesitancy with horse riding. Okay. So I knew I desired to change that, because it's not much fun when you get on a horse and you're hesitant, and not much fun for the horse either, and the whole horse ride. So I started going to some Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider classes, and there's lots of those facilitators around the world. Absolutely brilliant. I will say doing one at Elugar is amazing. My horse is here, but there's lots of horses here and you can go riding. I think there's one in October with Cody Law, Alison Cox, and Sarah Watt, which I'm going to do again. So if you're around, come to Elugar and go to it. It's incredible. So, but I am referring to horse riding because I'm going to refer to that in the topic I wanted to talk about today. And I want to talk to you about relationships. Oh no, you say, relationships. So interesting enough, I start Relationships Done Different facilitator training tomorrow. There's lots of RDD, we call them, Relationship Done Different facilitators all over the world too. So find one near you and, go to a class, because it doesn't matter what situation you're in. You could be in a relationship, you could be single. For me, Relationships Done Different is so much about creating a different relationship with you. And if you have that different relationship with you, then you can have something different with somebody else, including a horse, your family, your friends, your colleagues, your lovers, like anyone. Okay. Because, first question I would ask you is, what do you choose in your relationships? Do you choose your relationships from space, from question, or do you choose them from control? How many of you choose relationships from control? And what if it could be something different? So one of the tools that is new to access at the moment is cognitive dissonance, and it's not a new term by any means. It's like, if you look it up, if you Google what cognitive dissonance is, it says here that cognitive dissonance is, if you Google it, is a psychological state of discomfort that occurs. I love this, of discomfort that occurs when someone holds conflicting beliefs, attitudes or behaviors. So it can also be described as the mental conflict that arises when someone's actions are not in line with their value. Okay. So the way I would, describe this as well is cognitive dissonance is when you have two opposing or different points of view about the same subject. Okay. So both of them are relevant, but neither of them make sense to you. So if you look at your relationships, it's like, how much of your relationships is created from cognitive dissonance? So when you function from cognitive dissonance, it takes away all the possibilities in favor, not in flavor, in favor of the conflict that you can create. Okay. And quite often, what we're discovering is the cognitive dissonance when you have that, so you have this conflict, you have the two opposing points of view about something, then it shows up as this pain and suffering in your body. So let's look at relationships. Let's look at the old classic, okay, of, you're supposed to find the one, right? I personally don't think the one exists. You may have an amazing relationship in this lifetime so far. And I do know a few people who I just think they're so honoring of each other and they have this awesome relationship. But for me to have that as the one excludes so much else. What if the relationship you have with you is so amazing and so phenomenal and changes all the time and is so malleable that you have so much more that can come your way? So relationships are different too is about the difference. And I've really been looking at this recently. If we all chose not to play this game of what's right, what's wrong, the judgment, the doubt, this hesitation in what we choose, then we'd have a very different place in this world with relationships. And what would it take for us to be so, I want to say confident, but it's like so confident and trusting of yourself that you don't need to control all the relationships in your life. You let them be. Like, what if you could just let your relationship be? If you have no needs in relationship, then a very different possibility can show up. So the cognitive dissonance is it's what you think should occur, and it's sort of like if you're heading in one direction. Oh, that's right. We're going to talk about the marriage thing. Okay. So say it's been, you go, oh yeah, I would love to be in a relationship. I'd like to get married. I'd like to have kids, blah, 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 that whole thing. And so you're heading in this direction, but then on the same request, you're like, oh, I'd also like to have my freedom, and I would like to, travel the world, and I would like to be independent, and I'd like to, have my own business and be, change it all the time and blah, blah, blah. So you've got these conflicting points of view of what relationship can be. And it's like you desire one thing and you desire another thing, and neither of them really make sense, and yet both make sense. So there's both, like, they're both true to you in some way. Okay. That's where you have the cognitive dissonance, and it's true and it's not true. Okay. So how many of you are choosing your relationships from cognitive dissonance, where there is conflicting points of view, there is opposing points of view, different points of view on the same subject, and the subject is the relationship. Okay. So everything at that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 100, shorts, boys, proverbs, creations, bases, and beyonds. So it's like, how many of you have the idea that you are supposed to be a certain thing for people? So if you think about, maybe think about a relationship that you're in right now, and it could be a parent, you could be, for your parents or for your kids or your partner. Okay. So if you try to be something, get that person in your head, you try to be something for them, how does it work out? And it's like, what I looked at is it's too linear. It's too limited. If I'm trying to be something for someone else, it's too linear and it's limited. And linearity is limitation. Okay. So how many of you are choosing relationship from prediction? And how much is that actually going to grow? What I would ask is that you start being in question. Okay. So relationship done different is, I've been looking at what are people not willing to let go of in order to have a relationship done different. So if you're trying, like, how many of you are trying to have a normal relationship and something that makes sense, that makes sense to everybody else? How many relationships do you currently have that you're trying to make sense of? And everything at that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all 100, shorts, boys, perverts, creations, bases, and beyonds. And how do most people view relationship? Like if you look at, marriage or living together, I mean, so many people don't get married anymore, they live together. But it's like having somebody in your life, okay? And I've done this. I will admit this, being a female, there's the most random things, like if I'm getting done, because I own the house I live in. So there's stuff that goes on in my house, and I'm a girl with things like that. So, and I have some amazing men in my life who I call, and it's the big joke of like, I need a man and they will help me out, etc. And, and I have quite a few, like I don't just have one, I have a few that I will ask for help. Okay. But it's funny, I found myself in these random moments going, oh God, this is the time when I wish I had a husband. Why? So he can fix something for me? Like seriously. It's like, why would you want a husband so that they can just fix something for you? I'm sure that that's not going to be very much fun on their part either. So when you're looking at like, how do most people view relationships? It's like, how much of it is about the safety? It's like something that you can count on. I mean, I remember my last long-term relationship too. He was a good handyman, but I would ask if something could be done and he wouldn't do it. And one day I actually hired a handyman and he said, why'd you hire a handyman for? And I was like, because we need this, this, and this. And he was like, I told you I could do it. And I just laughed. And I was like, yeah, but you know what? I would rather hire a handyman than keep asking for this. Like, that's not how I desire to create a relationship, is me nagging you. So, and he laughed too, and he got it. So how do you view relationship? What do you choose it for? Is it for this, like, if you're choosing it for the safety, then that's the cognitive dissonance, okay? And like I said before, it's like where it's true and it's not true. So the true part of that is, it's the safety of a normal life. It's the safety of a normal life in this reality. I don't know, you can get the house, you sign off on that, you pay the mortgage off. If I look at my parents, my mother's point of view very much was, once we had a house, we were safe. Now, my father was much more of an entrepreneur. So he always wanted to play with different things. He was a chartered accountant by trade, and that was his main job. But growing up, we had different things. Like I remember we had, part ownership of a butcher shop, or there was this picnic table craze that came out. I don't know what era, but we were, manufacturing these picnic tables. So I remember, they were out, sort of thing. So there was all these different things that he wanted to be involved in, but my mother was like, we need to play it safe. So my father did, eventually sort of gave up a lot of the things that he wanted to be interested in. That was his choice. And he chose that because in his world, in his reality, he used to say to me, I chose your mother, let me deal with her. He was a strict Catholic. So in his world, he couldn't get divorced. I will deal with her. So he created himself to be less than in a lot of different areas based on what her point of view was. And her point of view was that the relationship was safe. We have this house, we're paid off the mortgage. Now we need to not take any more risks, okay? Which is interesting because for me, living is not a constant state of risk. Living is a constant state of exploring. So how many of you have misidentified and misapplied risk? And you go, no, let's not choose that because we don't know what that's going to end up like. Well, that's control. That's not giving space. That's control. What if there was a different possibility you could have and you were being in question? So what if the question you ask is, instead of like playing it safe in this reality, is ask a question, what will this create? And that could be you're in a relationship and I don't know, like I remember saying to my ex one day, hey, I think I want to go live in Europe for 6 months. And he had a son, so we had a stepson, and we had to talk about it. And I was so grateful I could have the conversation because I was like, I don't want to do this normal living in this house and doing the school run and all of that. And I'm good with the relationship right now, but I think I want to go base myself in Europe for 6 months. And he was like, okay. And he goes, will you still help out with the mortgage? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I didn't end up choosing it. But the fact that I gave myself the choice and he was okay with me choosing that gave me so much more space and freedom, and there was no control. It was about the choice. And that's what I would like you all to have with your relationships. So if you ask the question, and this is such a great question to use with everything before you choose anything, what will this create? Okay. What will this create? Because if you're functioning from assumption, then that is where you create the cognitive dissonance. Remember, the cognitive dissonance is the opposing points of view, okay? And it's the opposing points of view of where you're trying to make sense of which one, and then that very quickly puts you into the mode of which one is right and which one is wrong, and you start to go into judgment, you start to go into linearity and the limitations and the reference points of the past, all of those things, instead of actually being in question and choosing what works for you today. So one of the things I've been looking at is, because I've been horse riding so much and I love it. And I really do love it. It's been amazing. Today was incredible. And I've really been enjoying galloping and, going up and down hills. And she's so great at jumping over, puddles and all that sort of stuff. And I will say that in my head, I'm like enjoying galloping, but I'm asking her to walk. And today, like we galloped and, but asking her to walk. So I've got to get that. And like, it's too much cognitive dissonance with that. So if you're riding a horse and I'm asking her, giving her all the indications with my body and the reins to walk, yet my head is going, God, I love galloping. She's like, okay, what next? And she will do what is the best thing for her too, in that sense. So we had this cognitive dissonance riding today. It was so energetic. And it was on me. I knew that I had to keep in my head going, hey, we're walking when we were choosing to walk. And then I was just like, okay, let's go, let's gallop. It was awesome. But tomorrow I'm actually going to go riding and I just want to go for a walk. So I want to show her that that's what we can also choose. Right. So, but one thing I've really learned is I've learned to trust her. And I've also learned to trust my body. And I looked at this, it's like by giving up the point of view of what I learned to trust my body by giving up my point of view of what I have decided it should be. Like I'm talking everything about my body. So if you look at the relationship you have with your body, it's like, what have you decided your body should be? Okay. And one of the things Gary Douglas said to me the other day, which he said to me before, stop trying to prove you're an athlete. And I got cranky at him last time. And I remember thinking, well, then I just sit at home and watch TV. I knew that that's not what he meant, but I really wasn't ready for that question or that conversation. And he said it to me the other day here. And I was like, okay, what do you mean by that? Because it's like, I know my body loves to move. And he said, yeah, but you will sometimes force your body to move when it doesn't desire it. And I know I've been a little, my body's been going through some changes and what you would say like a fever and everything in the last week. And I noticed that I had to come to more of a communion with my body again than just going, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. I really have to be in question. Like even there was a couple of days that I was like, okay, I'm not going riding. And to be okay with that, because my body was like, hey, we need to just rest for a moment. I'm like, okay. Or even go for a walk, not necessarily a run. So what I'm learning too is to give up the point of view of what I've decided I should be or my body should be. And what I'm noticing is when I give up that point of view, what we have is something so much more magical and absolutely filled with miracles. And I know what I even have with the relationship with my horse right now and my body, because it's my being, my horse, the body, all of it is so much greater than I could have expected. And when you have an expectation or a projection, that is cognitive dissonance, okay? You stop what else can show up. So if you give up what you think relationships should be, like if you gave up looking at what your relationship should be with your body, with your partner, with your kids, anything, like you put anything in there, your colleagues, okay? It's like give up what you think relationships should be, and you might find something greater. Did you know that I have a monthly membership? It's called the Profit Club. So what is the Profit Club? Well, most people go to profit is the amount of money that you make after you pay the bills. What if it's more than that? What if it's not just about money? It's not just about business. It's not just about wealth creation. It's about you. It's about you being the source of your life so you can truly choose to live. You get 2 calls with me a month. You're also on a private Telegram thread, and there's a few other things that you get as well. It's $28 a month. That's it. So, would you like to be a member of the Profit Club? So even just now, it's like the relationship you have with your body. Let's just use your body, okay? But you can put anything in there. You could put your partner in there, okay? So the relationship that you've decided that you should have with your body, will you now destroy and uncreate it? And everything you decided it should be, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 100, shorts, boys, proverbs, creations, spaces, and beyond. Nice. So what if instead you're in a constant state of question? A constant state of question with no projections and no expectations. Like for me, what I'm noticing is there is a rawness to it. Like I was even talking to Gary about when I jump on my horse or any horse, I always say, hey, will you take care of me? And there's an energy you can pick up. And I always tell them too, I'll take care of you. Because for me personally, I think that that's important is for them to get that I'm also going to look after them. What I was also doing was going, will you show me more of me? And when I was having a conversation with Gary today, I realized that that is actually functioning from a projection and an expectation, and it takes it all out of question. So instead of me just getting on it, like if you look at the energy and I jump on a horse and I say, will you take care of me? That's it. I am adding the, and I'll take care of you. Now you put in, will you show me more of me? Da, da, da. There's an expectation and projection. Now, if I just say, will you take care of me? Then you have to be so present with every single moment when you are on that horse, okay? With your body, with the horse, with everything. Now, look at your relationships. Just pick any of them. And it's like, what will this create? Be in question with that relationship, be in question with that choice. And for me, there's this, like, it's raw, like it's just got this rawness to it. And it's the gift of the rarity of the space of possibility. But you can choose that. You can choose that gift in every relationship that you have. Every relationship that you have, like I said, whether it's your family, your friends, your next door neighbor, it's like your lover, your kids, your animals. It's like, how much do you try and control? So ask yourself, do you try to create space or control? And everywhere that you are creating control, you're choosing control instead of creating space, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 100, shorts, boys, proverbs, creations, spaces, and beyonds. Oh, mamma mia. Man, if we ever actually just gave up this control stuff, the world might be a very different place. So to finish this off, what I'm going to ask too is, what do you choose instead of relaxation and receiving? So look at the relationship you have with your body. What do you choose instead of relaxation and receiving? What do you assume? Do you force something? Do you control? Do you go to rightness? Do you go to wrongness? And everything at that is times a gazillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 100, shorts, boys, proverbs, creations, bases, and beyonds. Now look at maybe the person who is the closest to you in your life. So it could be your lover, it could be a friend. What do you choose instead of relaxation and receiving? Because the relaxation and receiving is going to, without going to a conclusion, is going to have more space to it. You're going to be in question. You're going to allow chaos. You're going to allow things to change instantaneously in a nanosecond. There is no conclusion, and you're not fixing to get a result. There is actually no fixed point of view. So what do you choose instead of relaxation and receiving? Do you use that person as a safety net? Do you use them to justify what you're not choosing? What is that for you? What do you choose instead of relaxation and receiving? Ooh, how many of you are not willing to receive from the people you are closest to? You would rather control them than receive. Everything at that is times a Godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. All right, wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 100, shorts, boys, proverbs, creations, bases, and beyonds. So please, this is not about judging yourself. This is about you having more freedom in every area of your life. And if you look at this, you create relationships with everything. You create relationships with the earth, with your body. It's like with the people you work with anyone. It's like you're constantly in a creation of relationships. How do you choose it? What do you choose? Now, just take a moment. If you can, shut your eyes. If you're driving, don't. Golden rule, really. If you're driving, don't shut your eyes. And take a breath. And just perceive this amazing, beautiful body that you have, that you chose. And you chose to be born at this time, in this lifetime, wherever, whatever country, city, language you speak, religion you chose, culture, etc. You chose that. Now, if you were choosing to create a relationship that was so different with you, your body, and everybody around you, what would you choose? What if you could choose it from relaxation and receiving? What if you never had to give up you? But you also didn't have to fight. And you didn't have to prove that you were right. You didn't have to prove that you were wrong. You didn't have to force anything. You allowed every relationship you choose to just be. And some come and some go. And that's got to be okay. You know, when I was younger, like, I think I was like 8 or 9 or something like that. You know, you have posters in your bedroom. I had a poster in my bedroom and it was this eagle flying. And it said, if you love something, set it free. If it comes back, it is yours. If it doesn't, it never was. I often think about that I was like so young to have that as my poster in my bedroom. But for me, it was true. What if you're willing to let everything and everyone go in your life? Would you choose it? What would you change? What would you receive? Because you, my friend, are so phenomenal. You are so brilliant, and you are so much greater than what you've been willing to acknowledge. What if now is the time for you to start to acknowledge the absolute brilliance of you, okay? And like I always say, don't trust me, trust you, okay? You got this, you got this, you got this. So thank you so much for being here. Look, there is, like I said, there's relationship done different facilitators all over the world. If it's something you want to explore it. And it might be, you know, I don't know, this month, next month, it could be anything. Even just write down the questions from here or subscribe to the show notes and you'll get all the questions, etc., that we've written down here. Play with this, because do you just want to have a normal average life, or would you truly like to be living? Like, what exploration of your life could you be choosing that would allow you to just expand into a different possibility? That's what I'm up for. How about you? So thank you so much. Muchas gracias. Because I'm in Costa Rica. And I will see you next time. And thank you for being here. And please, you know, subscribe, share, give us a review, any of that and more. And just have an amazing, phenomenal day wherever you are in the world. Thank you for being here. Bye, everybody.